In this video, I will explain the remarkable operation of this monumental grandfather clock made by the self-winding clock company of New York. The clock probably dates to about 1910. The 8-foot-tall case is beautiful, and the mechanism is an electro-mechanical masterpiece. The clock is made up of 3 individual clock movements. There's a time movement, a quarterly chime movement, and an hourly strike movement. Each movement is electromechanical and self-winding, so no manual winding is required. And because the clock is self-winding, notice there are no winding holes in the dial. With the bonnet and dial removed, the master movement and the electromechanical hammers are visible. The movement is a Style A rotary master clock movement, number 32822, with a mercurial pendulum. The side of the case has permanent connections for the secondary clocks. Above the movement are 5 tubes with electromechanical hammers. It is set up to play Westminster Chimes. A look at the interior of the case reveals the exceptional workmanship in the design and installation of the 2 movements that operate the chimes and the hourly strike. There is elegant damascene work on the custom mounting frame and on both movements. All the electrical connections are done with solid bus wiring. I'm an orthodontist and I am used to bending wires, but this is beyond exceptional. It's most difficult to do and is done to perfection. This is a closer look at the top movement. It is the Chimer, a highly modified Style F movement, serial number 67430. The chimer turns the chime drum that is responsible for sounding the quarterly Westminster Chimes. This is a closer look at the striker. It also has a highly modified Style F movement, serial number 63025. After the 4th quarter Westminster Chimes are played, the striker is responsible for the hourly strikes. Okay, so we have seen the individual parts, so now let's look at the clock in action. The master clock movement controls everything. It starts the chimer each quarter hour. The hammers strike the tubes when triggered by an electrical pulse. The pulse comes when the tabs on the chime drum sequentially close the contacts. After the 4th quarter is played, the chimer starts the striker to strike the hours. Watch from the side as the chimer and then the striker are in motion. This is an even closer look at the chimer turning the chime drum, closing the contacts to activate the hammers. And now a closer look at the hammers in action. The hammer noise is muted and the tone improved when the bonnet is in place. Here one can see all 3 movements. The master movement is linked to the chime movement, which in turn is linked to the strike movement. The self-winding clock company clearly chose to showcase their self-winding feature rather than add additional trains to a master movement. While researching the history of the grandfather clock, I came across this article. The self-winding clock company installed a custom-built self-winding clock master clock systems for the Metropolitan Life Company in New York in 1909. Images from an article about the system reveal similar modifications to F movements as in the grandfather clock. The MetLife system components were elegantly damascened and had solid bus wiring. Notice the similarity to the MetLife installation and the grandfather clock. Probably made about the same time and by the same skilled technicians. This clock is not a fine musical instrument, but a wonderful example of horological innovation by the Self-Winding Clock Company of New York. People ask me how many of these glorious clocks do I think were made? My answer is one. This most definitely was made for a special exposition or a company dignitary. After consulting several tall case experts and self-winding clock experts, no one had seen anything like it before. The consensus is the case is American-made, the dial is from England, and all the mechanisms were custom-made by the Self-Winding Clock Company of New York. A one-of-a-kind beauty that I'm happy to be the custodian of. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're interested in unique electromechanical clocks, and check the bell to be notified of my new videos. Clicking the thumbs up helps promote horological entries. Thank you again.